Okay, India and Australia, that's all we care about for the next 6 to 8 weeks, I reckon. That's all we care about. And the squads for the first 2 test matches. Well, Australia's released their squad for the entire series, but India have released their squads. Let's just start with India. India have released their squad for the first 2 test matches, which are in, the first one is Pez in Nagpur, and the second one is
Delhi.
And the third one is Dharamshala. And the fourth one is
Ahmedabad.
Okay. So let's talk about some big outs. So Prithvi Shaw last week hit the second highest score in first-class cricket history in India, in Ranji Trophy history. He hit 379. He's not in the squad. Not enough. Not enough for Prithvi. Sarfaraz Khan, who plays in the same team as Prithvi Shaw, he has the strongest case of anyone in the history of red ball cricket to be in a squad. Just be in the squad. He's played, I think it's 36 games. He averages 80 in first-class cricket. In the last 2 seasons, he's averaged over 100. In the last 2 Ranji Trophy seasons, he bats down the odd, bats 5 for... Fuck, I can't think who he plays for. Rahane's the captain of that team. Prithvi Shaw opens the batting. Sarfaraz Khan bats 5. I can't think what the team is.
That's all right. So someone will help you in the comments.
Almost definitely. Anyway, he's not in. So you'd think, okay, Indian squad must be pretty good. They have picked Surya Kumar Yadav. He is in the squad. Ishan Kishan is in as the wicket keeper. They have reserve keeper, who I can't think top of my head.
Barrett.
Thank you. But Ishan Kishan is likely to play. So Jadeja is in the squad as well. He is likely to play. He is going to return in the Ranji Trophy on January 24 after he had knee surgery before the World Cup. Some of you may recall. And we spoke about Rishabh Pant last week. After his car accident. He is likely to miss most, if not all, of 2023. He's had 2 knee reconstructions already. He's also got another knee surgery within the next 6 weeks. So he's alive and he will play again. That is the good news, but it won't be for the most part of this year. Anyway, that as an aside. So India's squad is Rohit as captain, KL Rahul is vice captain. They got Shubman Gill, Pujara, I believe it's pronounced Kohli, Shreyas Iyer, KS Barrett, Ishan Kishan, Ashwin, Axar Patel, Kuldeep Yadav is in, Jadeja, Shami, Mo Siraj, Umesh Yadav, that's Boys Yadav, Jadav Unadkat, and Surya Kumar Yadav. That is their entire squad for the first 2 tests. Do you like it?
There's one big out there for the first 2 tests that from an Australian perspective is handy, but don't mind watching him. His name's Jasprit Bumrah.
Sourav Ganguly. Bumrah's out for the first 2 tests.
First 2. So yeah. I'd imagine that's a big out. Do I like it? You know, it's interesting. I see runs and wickets. I see 3 spinners that frighten me, which is about all they need. But
I don't see much pace being played in this series. If I'm looking at that squad.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I mean, the Aussies seem pretty keen on pace in terms of their way of winning, but
England did as well. They played 4 seamers that one game.
But it is interesting, like around the traps. It seems to me that, of course, Indians are excited and they should expect to win on home soil because Australians have only won there twice. In ever.
Yes,
a series that is. But there seems to be among more, I guess, like objective observers, like the idea that like India ain't all that either, and that they're not playing particularly good cricket.
Yep.
Particularly with the bat, I think it's going to be more than enough against Australia. But but the more that I think about it, as the game gets closer, and obviously by the time it starts, I expect Australia to win every session.
Of course.
But
that's right.
I see runs and I see wickets, and I think it's going to depend on the decks that are served up. I'm sure they'll be helpful, as is any home teams want. Mm-hmm. I think, as usual, Australia will like put their best foot forward, and probably just the bat will be too far away from that foot.
Some will spin, some
you
won't.
actually have to get out in front. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anyone who's crying out to be selected that's missed out. I don't think Prithvi Shaw's form until those runs have been awesome. I think one day he's going to destroy us for several series. That day is not these first 2 tests anyway. I do think Rishabh is a big out for them because he just always seems to kill us. Mm-hmm. So there's a little window there for Australia, but you'd imagine it should be enough.
I've never seen Sarfaraz can't play. I don't know anything about him. I was looking at those numbers and I was looking like people's reaction, including friend of the show, Harsha Bogle, being like, no one in the history of the game has banged the door down more.
Yeah, right.
So like, I'm going to take that as gospel for me.
He hasn't done it in Australia though, so
he hasn't done it against our boys. I
haven't heard of it, and he hasn't done it here,
mate. If there was a guy in Shield cricket who averages 80 after like 4 years and averaged 100 the last 2, I think he'd be in the squad.
It's interesting, that they do back their veterans, India, don't they? Like sometimes against I'm just thinking if you're in the top 6 for India and you're playing at home, you want to be averaging 50 odd. You know what I mean? Like in some of those guys, in Test cricket, you want to be a run glutton. Some of them aren't always that.
Yeah. I suppose that's. I wonder if Sky is going to play. Okay, let's figure out their batting lineup. Okay, it's going to be Rohit and KL Rahul opening the batting. Pujara 3, Kohli 4.
I think so. Yeah.
Shreyas will bat 5. He's actually been probably the best batter in the last couple of series. Who bats 6 then? Jadeja?
Well,
nah.
Ishan Kishan might bat 6.
Okay, then
Jadeja 7.
Ashwin 8.
Or Axar, then Ashwin.
Oh, Ashwin's got the hundreds though. Ashwin's got 400s.
I don't know who bats. I mean, Axar can bat 2. I don't know who bats in front of him.
Okay, so then you got 8, 9, and then you got 2 seamers.
Yeah, Mo Shami, Mo Siraj.
Yeah, they haven't picked Shardul Thakur either. The Lord does
it get a big gig in India?
I'm not sure actually. I'm not sure. I don't know.
The Lord.
Anyway, I mean, I suppose you look at those names and you're like, oh, there's enough there, I would have thought. I mean, I understand what they were saying.
Just give the ball to Jadeja, who's going to have his glasses on and it'll just flick it in and fucking all of us.
Oh, mate,
I mean, we're not going to have the soundtrack of Rishabh Pant keeping.
Yeah.
Like, I'm kind of... that's good, but I'm also going to miss it.
Okay, so I guess...
How much noise does Kishan make?
Yeah, I'm not sure. And okay, so I was just figuring out if Sky's going to play. I think, who would he play in front of? He'd have to be picked in front of one of the bowlers perhaps, or they would pick him instead of Shreyas Iyer. But I think Shreyas Iyer has scored the most runs in Test cricket in recent times.
It looks flexible as well. I mean, Shub McGill's in there as well. He's never far away.
I was wondering if these wickets are going to be so spinny and fun that they might pick Sky just to be like, mate, try and score 40 off 10 balls and win the game. But I don't think that's the case. But it is interesting he's in the squad. I mean, he hasn't been around a red ball squad in a long time, so you'd think like if he's in the squad, why wouldn't they play him? I know. Something to think about. Okay, let's talk about Australia.
Oh, they might just be doing it in and around the boys.
In and around the boys?
Umesh Yadav's in the team, so.
He doesn't need to be in and around the boys, though, because he did get dropped from the ODI squad, though. Sky. So I don't know what's going on. Let's talk about Australia. Pete Handscomb's in. Todd Murphy is in. Todd Murphy's probably the most interesting one. He's uncapped. They like him. They like the look of him. Obviously, friend of the show. That's important for us. And his numbers are good. And is he now the second spinner? Is he now our second spinner? I don't know. Probably. He might be. But to that end, Adam Zampa had some comments last night, I think it might have been 2 nights ago. But he said he was apparently told that he was close 6 weeks ago. And he's obviously been not being picked, and said he said he was very flat about it. I'm confused about that. I mean, Zampa's record against India in white ball cricket, generally speaking, is sensational. I mean, he's one of the best. Red ball record is no good. In fact, he's hardly played. He's hardly played red ball cricket.
He played one game a couple of months ago. Took 3 for, and then none for in a game they lost.
I just think about like what would Swepson be thinking, who's like played red ball cricket for ages and like won games consistently for Queensland in the 4th innings. He's a leg spinner. He's also played Test cricket before.
Yeah.
I would have thought he'd be I think Zampa's a good bowler, but I had no idea about his record in red ball cricket, let alone in the Test arena.
Oh well, I mean, Zampa didn't make it, so Swepson wouldn't be upset about that. I do wonder with Swepson. Swepson will probably be aggrieved that others have leapfrogged him.
Yeah,
but I do think that they just don't have a lot of confidence in wrist spin over in India. Which is probably why Agar gets the gig over Swepson for the ball that's turning that way.
Yeah.
Which I think Swepson could be aggrieved about as well. Zampa said, I thought with the way I've been going in international cricket in particular, this was going to be my opportunity. That was the messaging I got 6 weeks ago. Now I'm not. I'm very flat about it. I mean, I'd understand him being flat about it if he was told that he was going. You know what I mean? And then he was not. But I doubt selectors ever do that 6 weeks out. So it's hard to analyse the validity of his feelings, you know, even sitting here talking about his feelings is feels a bit how you going.
Well, it's actually not dissimilar to India picking Sky, whose record in obviously T20 cricket is like he's just the best in the world and some of the best form anyone's ever seen over the course of the last 18 months, 2 years. I mean, Zampa's white ball form for Australia has also been sensational. I mean, guys do get picked in international cricket in other formats if they've performed at international level in a different format.
Like a Sky.
Exactly. So I guess I understand it from that perspective. But yeah, anyway, Australia's squad, so Stark is out of the first test. I think that's confirmed. He was also apparently going to be opening the bowling for Manly this past weekend with Morne Morkel.
Yeah, but that never makes sense because makes no sense. Morne's in South Africa. So I don't know. That was rumor mongering.
Yeah, of course he is. Yeah, of course he is. Anyway, so Australia's squad is Cummins to captain, Ashton Agar, Boland, Carey, Cam Green, Hanscom, Hazelwood, Head, Khawaja, Labuschagne, Lyon, Lance Morris, barebacks in. Todd Murphy, Matt Renshaw is in. Steve Smith is vice captain. Mitch Stark, Swepson, and Warner. Bareback Morris is an interesting one. They've taken him there. I think that is in and around the group, unless I get a fucking green seamer somewhere.
There's chat about the importance of airspeed, you know, like and reverse, and just having to have that speed to get it going reverse. I mean, I think that like Australia's blueprint for winning in India, which happened once in our lifetime, was built off pace, and it was where McGrath took the wicket, so did Gillespie, Kasparovich is involved. Warne bowled heaps of overs in a kind of defensive manner, and they, India paid a lot of attention to that while the other guys did the business. But I look at the Aussie squad. I think it's good. It's good enough. I don't think there's other guys sitting there going, "Oh, if you picked him, Australia's got the BGT in the bag." It's just a case of of how these guys play over there. You know, the thing that gets the loins going for me in India is our bats against their spin and who can do it, and that's when I really start getting off about Steve Smith being a fucking master.
I think one shame is also, just top of my head, is that that Glenn Maxwell won't be in that squad. He obviously won't be there because he fucking snapped his leg at a birthday party. I think that would have been exciting.
True.
As a selection, I mean, it'd be interesting to see how long Travis Head gets compared to, Pete Hanscom is there, I think, specifically to play in Asia. I think Australia, I look at those names and I'm like, that's a really good cricket team. I don't think Australia's going to get absolutely, do I think that? I think that can be competitive. I don't think it can be a competitive series. I have absolutely zero expectations that Australia will even win a game. But as you say, Pez, that first ball bowls and it gets pushed to the offside for 4, I've been thinking, what the fuck is this shit? Everything must change at Shield level. We must focus on Sheffield Shield cricket now forever.
I also think they have a massive winning habit, Australia, as well. I think in a team, it's like that they're used to being inside the contest and winning all of their mini battles. So just over the course of 4 tests, it's going to be such a great test of technique. Big questions are like Cummins' captaincy under pressure will be interesting. I think Travis Head he's booked his spot because he scored runs on different decks.
Yep.
Can he transcend his technique? How's Marnus Labuschagne, is one of the best bats in the world, going to go in these conditions for the first time?
Yep.
I think they're all really interesting. I think the bowlers know how to bowl over there, and they're going to be able to bowl dry, and it's going to be some serious back-breaking work for a while. Alex Carey's keeping is going to be important.
Yeah, good point. And, I'm really excited by actually.
They're going to play a good game. They'll park the bus Australia a little bit.
Yep.
They'll play tight and see what they can do.
Try and get into the third day. You know what I'm excited by, Pez? I think Steve Smith away from home is where you see the beauty of Steve Smith. Because I think in Australia, like Marnus and Travis Head and even Usman to a lesser degree, they're just so good to watch in Australia. But Steve Smith, his the amazement of Steve Smith is his runs away from home, the Ashes, of course, in 2019. But even last time we went to India 6 years ago now, it's that's where I get my Steve Smith that's where I get off on Steve Smith away runs, And I think hopefully we have to see some from an Australian perspective. Anyway, India 4-0 over 8 days.